I can't believe I almost did filmed an entire video, filmed, and then I realized I hadn't pressed record. Hey everybody, and thanks so much for coming back to my channel. My name is Dion. This is D Maria Reacts. Let's take a look at some more of the reasons why I believe Kamala is going to lose this election, and I am so excited about that prospect. Check this out.
There's a reason as to why they hid Kamala Harris for more than a month after being handpicked by her party. There's a logic to this, guys. Kamala Harris is not fit for speaking engagements where she doesn't have a script. You can cite the debate all you want, but we know for certain that she was prepared for that ABC debate. We can say that because all of her answers from then are still being repeated today, much like what she and Tim Walz continue to tout about their plan for the economy. They keep circling back to their middle-class life when that doesn't even answer the question at all.
And if I hear her say the ambitions, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people, if I hear her say that one more time, I think I'm going to jump through the screen and run up and stomp her on her pinky toe.
Don't take my word for it, just watch this. And guys, before we get started, all I ask is that you take 1 second, hit the like button for the video, and thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I totally appreciate you guys. You're absolutely amazing.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
You know, we have ambitions and aspirations and dreams.
The ambition, the aspiration, the dream.
I started my career as a prosecutor.
I was a career prosecutor for most of my career.
Having a background as a prosecutor.
I intend to create an opportunity economy.
Developing and creating an opportunity economy.
What I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy.
And I want you guys to watch the body language here as Harris finished up her interview at the NABJ. Do you see the looks being shared here? And the VP doesn't even have the decency to look at the crowd before exiting. She just kind of waves them off because she knows that she bombed again.
She is so uncouth. So uncouth. Look at their faces.
Kamala Harris, you are as fake as press-on nails, and I can see right through you. Let me help you out with something, because maybe somebody must not have told you. And on TV and on every interview, giving the same tired answer. So let me just help you out. When you are asked a question, why don't you try answering the question? People are not stupid. We can tell when you're dancing around the issue instead of answering the question. When you're asked, are people better off now or during Donald Trump's presidency? When you're asked about the border or your policies on immigration, answer the question. We don't care about your middle class upbringing. We don't care that your mama had to save up to buy a house. We don't care about your summer job at McDonald's. We don't care about the lawns of the neighborhood that you lived in and how everybody took care of their lawn. That does not matter to me, and it doesn't matter to anybody else. I want you to answer the question. Because if people, my mind is already made up too, Kamala, because I can see right through you and I know that you fake. But for somebody else whose mind is not made up, let me just help you out. Answer the question so that they can decide between you and your opponent.
Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular.
Bill Maher said that. I wonder when he said that. Recently? Wow.
You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And it's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how...
She's not intelligent. I don't believe it. She's not accomplished. Some people call her heels up Kamala, if you know what I mean. Just think about, what's his name? Willie Brown.
Okay, bad example.
So Bill is acknowledging
quieter than an electric car. And it's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how, okay, bad example.
So Bill is acknowledging nobody likes her. She has no track record of doing anything. And the few things that she was tasked with, or in this case, the one thing that she was tasked with in the last 3.5 years, she absolutely destroyed, which is the border.
New polling is in today on the swing states from the Hill and from Emerson College. We'll get to the...
Let me just say, I put very little stock in these polls that make it seem like, oh, the race is just so tight. I think Donald Trump is way out ahead, significantly ahead of her. I'll put it like that. But I'm all for letting it seem like, oh, it's so tight, because that's going to keep some people sitting their butt cheeks at home. And they're not going to bother to vote because they're like, oh, yeah, she's going to get in. They'll push her on in and they'll sit at home. Whereas if they were to tell the truth with all these polls, it might motivate folks to, oh, we better get out there and vote for the black woman so she can look out for us. I'm talking about black people when I make that comment. Other people, oh, we better vote for the woman. She's going to look out for us. She could care less about you all. Really. She could care less. She just wants the power.
The average point in a moment, but all of these polls right here, this is one poll, but all of these polls in the...
If you're a first-time home buyer, you know how challenging it can be to find the right deal. With
the swing states, every single one of them is within the margin of error. Look, 48, 49, 50, 47, 49, 47. So it's as close as can be. What's interesting, if you take out the leans and just look at which direction that they're going, Trump, Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia, and also Pennsylvania has the slightest of advantages where Harris is up in Michigan. North Carolina, Nevada's just completely tied. Now, if you focus on the big three so-called blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, we've had a decent amount of data come in since the debate in those states. And it's close, very, very close.
And it is this fact that is pulling down her numbers in the polls. So I worked in the IT field for years, and luckily I happen to work for a company where join like-minded people just like us. Join us over in the Liberty Pursuit Network. I left a link for you guys in the description down below this video. They hid her for way too long, and now everybody's waiting on her words. The problem is that it's been disappointing for many voters, especially independent voters who are still choosing between her and Donald Trump. Now, it's also very evident that mainstream media is shocked that Kamala Harris doesn't have as much support. I'm not shocked, though. I mean, she's been shown to have rallies with thousands of supporters, and yet it's hard to find one organically. Check out what CBS News said about finding supporters for the VP.
We had so much fun, but what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
I believe that she would have gotten a better number if she notified Harris's team so that they could have busted in more of a crowd. But it's this unpopularity that's being highlighted at the moment. A Rasmussen survey shows much of the same voters are connecting Harris to the poor performance of President Biden. And it makes sense.
As well they should, because she is connected to Biden. It's a Biden-Harris administration.
Because she's already in the White House, guys. The numbers show that more than half of voters feel as if Kamala Harris will offer more of the same, with less than 40% seeing her as a fresh start and a new direction. Now, what's really surprising for those at Rasmussen is that more than half of the respondents claim that Donald Trump is the fresh new start that they need.
Yep, that he is.
Now, remember, guys, this guy has already been in the office. He's already held the White House for 4 years, and yet voters are saying that he is the one who can take this country into a new direction.
Like Tim Walz's wife said, we're going to turn the page. We're on page Biden-Harris. We're going to turn the page to Donald J. Trump. Period.
Doesn't end there, because a whopping 73% of them say that the general conditions in our country is calling for a fresh start and a new direction. Top pollster John McLaughlin, he also confirmed that the race is tight, despite what you and I hear from mainstream media, mainly because what we hear has Harris absolutely leading Trump everywhere. But what they're not telling us is that 60% of voters are worried about the nation going down the wrong track. Of those voters, 78% believe that Kamala Harris will continue this trend. Not looking good for Harris. 74% believe that Trump will instead steer us away from it. Very good news for Trump. Now, I should also note that the numbers show that Kamala Harris is in for a steep drop in the polls, especially as she has no choice but to continue to hold interviews where she's left to answer off the cuff. Those never work out well for her. And it's for this reason, guys, as to why her team is basically begging Donald Trump for a debate rematch. One where they can have control once again, maybe do another 3-on-1 like they did during the ABC News debate, and place moderators who would fact-check Trump at every turn. But their luck may be running out, as Donald Trump has rejected any calls for another debate, especially since he's already proven his point. There's no plan under Kamala Harris, and if there is, it's just not feasible, which means that the last 4 years would only repeat itself. The situation for her is just literally so dire that even people who dislike Donald Trump admit that he's got their vote.
Even those here, like Stanley Benedict, not fully enamored with Trump, plan to vote for him.
He's got a big ego, and sometimes it's a little too big because he'll toot his horn a lot. But I support him because of...
Too many people confuse a big ego with confidence.
He proved himself.
So what do you guys think about that? Has Donald Trump proven himself within the 4 years that he served? And in retrospect, was life better under Donald Trump?
It most certainly was.
Compared to now? I'm just curious. And this is where we have a disconnect with reality. Many attest that Kamala Harris was not good for the American people, nor was she helpful to the black community. She is simply
He's so gross and handsy. He's creepy. Has the nerve to call somebody else weird. He is a weirdo. He has no control over his limbs. His hands and arms and legs and feet go flailing. Just a weirdo. Ugh.
pandering for votes, and it's why she avoided all these interviews. It's why she claims to be black when many deny her to be a black woman. It's alleged that Kamala Harris's team insisted that ABC News not ask her any questions about her time as a prosecutor. And now we know why. The story comes from a black mother, a black woman.
I did a video on her. Check that out.
A real black woman who went up against the power of one of Kamala Harris's. And just for context, this is about the truancy program that Kamala Harris herself pushed for in the state legislature. This law allowed district attorneys to charge parents with a misdemeanor if their children miss 10% of the school year without a valid reason.
I intend to fight.
And actually, according to what that parent said, who was just flashed on the screen, her daughter did have a valid reason. Her daughter has a chronic, life-threatening illness. And Kamala's people still locked that mother up.
For Black Lives Matters, I intend to fight.
If Black Lives matter to her, why didn't I matter?
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom. And I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
My message to all Americans, especially Black Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
Check my video out, y'all, where I showed more of that video. Check it out.
Their job, they'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer, they'd lose standing in their community, all because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
And I think she was remembering the story because she destroyed the life of this family. And from the looks of it, Harris was looking back on some fond memories.
Yeah.
But my hell was...
She is power hungry.
my case.
Is this the kind of governance that our country needs? A prosecutor who doesn't even need all of the information provided before they make an arrest? I mean, it's truly heartbreaking just to see and hear these kind of stories. But we gotta be informed, guys, because this is the kind of stuff that mainstream liberal media will block out. Just check out this breakdown from Fox's Laura Ingraham.
The devil's bargain. That's the focus of tonight's angle. I want you to ignore most of the commentary you've heard from the pundit class on the debate last night. As usual, the talking heads misread the concerns of millions of Americans watching at home. Tonight, I'm going to give you the key takeaways from the debate. First, ABC's moderators were essentially acting as Kamala Harris's debate coaches. Time and again, they served up softballs with zero follow-ups.
Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. What would you do to fight climate change?
A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
You're great. Do you agree you're great? No, this was entirely predictable. Now, remember, a top exec at Disney, whose portfolio includes ABC News, is a longtime pal of Kamala Harris. But another key point, and I think very, very important, is that Vice President Harris showed us last night that she's really not a lot more than a puppet of the failed D.C. establishment. Now, she took weeks to rehearse, during which she said had no adversarial press interviews, and then, with a friendly panel, showed that she can memorize some lines and speak in platitudes. From the start, Harris knew she would not be fact-checked or asked real follow-up questions.
And that's why she was so
But still, even with her absurd ABC running mates helping her, Harris revealed a lot about herself. And the picture was not altogether positive. Regular Americans who don't sit in studios like this, who don't get paid to talk for a living, will not be moved.
She didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist, moderate stance is just a facade. She's saying
the lady that was sitting there, I think that's probably their instructor. I think those are college students. That's, in my opinion, the only female that I would ever vote for as president. Outside of that, I don't think a female president would even be respected across the world. That's just my personal opinion.
She can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
All these policies that she's saying she's going to implement on day one of presidency, why does she have to wait until, January 20th to do that?
So yeah, it wasn't just Laura Ingraham or Fox News. Even voters are unconvinced by that ABC debate and Kamala Harris. So yeah, guys, bottom line, if history is any indication, things are turning up for Donald Trump, especially in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at it from the left-leaning news network CNN.
All right, Harry, talk to us about...
And so this video by Ron Yates was done... Oh no, he posted it an hour ago. And he's conversing about the way things have been since the debate between President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. By now, with this current situation factored in, with the Hurricane Helene victims, her popularity, I'm sure, the little piece, the little sliver of popularity that she does hold on to, surely it's just diminishing to nothing by this point. So anyway, that is So that was Ron Yates, and it seems as if he was speaking on that video from a time closer to back when the debate happened between President Trump and Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. So if that's how it was at that point, the way he described it, think of what it is by now, because it is early October 2024. The hurricane victims, Hurricane Helene victims in the states of North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, parts of Georgia, I think too. The way that's being handled, whatever sliver of popularity Kamala has got to be getting blasted to obliteration at this point, because it is just atrocious the way they're handling that whole matter. Anyway, so that is the end of that. I just wanted to comment on this whole thing about her ability to give speeches. It's an ugly sight. It really is an ugly sight. And if you can't be well versed and well spoken, how in the heck are you going to interact with men, shrewd men on the world stage during a time when there are multiple wars jumping off over the planet? She is not equipped. She's not equipped to fix things inside the U.S., and she is not equipped to help bring assistance and bring peace around the world. We can't let her have it, y'all. We can't let her get in there. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me, and I will see you all next time. Have a great evening.